Hello, Neely Salem here with a spiritual thought on a vulnerable topic. And today's vulnerable topic is self-judgment and the inner negative belief that I'm bad. Ooh, it's going to be a good one. Okay, so we're here today by the grave of Reb Shlomo Carlebach, which is really special because on the side of his grave it says, the deepest of the deep, the holiest of the holy. If you're coming onto the other side of the grave, you see that it says, Mamish Gewalt, the sweetest of the sweet. Now, yes, granted, his Hasidim put this on there because they believe that about Reb Shlomo, but I think that the reason that they felt this way, the reason they had the words to say this is because this is how Reb Shlomo felt about every one of us. Like he just saw in us that which we weren't willing to see ourselves, our depth, our profundity, our goodness, our holiness. So it's very apropos that we're here today for this topic. Okay, teaching number 1 from my friend Ben Zion Simmons in LA, and he brings it from David Hawkins from the book The Pathway of Surrender, Letting Go. So in this book, it says that we live with a scale of human emotions and experiences. Whatever you're feeling, you don't have to judge it, and here's why. The moment we're in self-judgment, we have an I should or I shouldn't have done this, I should be like that, I shouldn't be feeling this way. And the moment I have I should or an I shouldn't, this leads to guilt. If I feel guilty, I give myself the message that I'm bad. Hear that? Guilt and shame lead to I'm bad. And I'm bad, psychologically speaking, leads to the idea that I have to suffer. And then I'm going to draw suffering towards me. Do you understand? I'm bad, therefore I have to suffer. And when he told me this, I was like mind blown because I love when we can explain what's happening in our lives in psycho-spiritual terms. And this really, really blew my mind open. So the idea that David Hawkins is presenting in his book is to let go of judgment, because until I let go of the idea that I'm bad, I will believe internally, maybe not consciously, but I will believe that I should suffer. And then I will draw suffering towards me. So this thought was really mind-blowing to me and also inspired an idea of, wow, I wonder what would happen if actually I was in self-judgment that I was good, and what that might lead to me drawing towards myself or towards my life. Okay, so I want to connect this to idea number 2, which is a Rav Shlomo teaching. Rav Shlomo often brought ideas back to the Garden of Eden, and the following idea is it's fascinating, really, because what happened in the Garden of Eden? Well, we ate from the tree of knowledge of good and bad. In other words, we started being in judgment. I know what's good and what's bad, and I'm going to place these labels all over myself and all over other people, right? As if that's appropriate, meaning to say, I think what happened when we ate from the tree of knowledge of good and bad is we got confused. Right? There is only one throne of judgment, and when I am in self-judgment, it's like I'm kicking Hashem off that throne and saying, no, I know I'm bad, But really, there's only one judge, and it's not me. So here's the Reb Shlomo teaching. It says, do you know why God threw Adam out of paradise? This is deep. Because Adam thought that a human being has to be holy all the time. God says, this is not what paradise is all about. In hell, everything's always the same. You're always the same. No change, no growth. In paradise, one day you're good, one day you're bad. One day you're holy, one day you're not so holy. But the most important thing is that you're alive, right? You see, the mistake that we make when we get into self-judgment is, like we said, self-judgment, I'm bad, I deserve to suffer. What does it feel like when you're suffering? It feels like I'm in hell. What's hell? What happens when you get kicked out of paradise? You see, paradise has the room and the space for self-compassion and understanding that if I'm human, then inherently I'm meant to mess up sometimes, and I will. As David Sachs always says, the funny thing about the Garden of Eden is if it was supposed to be paradise, then why did God put a snake in it? In other words, it's a setup, this reality. And the test is not if we can be perfect and good and judge ourselves as good all the time, but if we can have forgiveness, if we can surrender, if we can let go of these judgments about ourselves, because apparently the master of the universe believes that you and I are worthy of our existence, because or else we wouldn't be here. You know what I'm saying? So let's not be more clever than the creator of the universe himself. And I wonder if you will wonder with me what might happen if I surrendered the I'm bad, or the I shouldn't have, or the I should, and I focused on my own goodness. What might I attract? I'm good, therefore I deserve good, and therefore I will draw blessing into my life. I sure hope so. Cool. Thanks so much for listening and being here with me for this spiritual teaching on a vulnerable topic. I hope it was helpful.